Hello everyone, and welcome back to my actual Flight Simulator 2024 series. This is going to be kind of part 0 of a running series which I'm going to do, which is going to be VFR flight from Land's End to John O'Groats. So it's a popular walk in the UK to walk from Land's End to John O'Groats. It's kind of southern tip of the main island up to the most northerly point of the main island of the United Kingdom. We're going to be doing it VFR in legs, so the and rule for the VFR legs that I've got is going to be each one is between 100 nautical miles and 120 nautical miles, and I'm only going to do them when it's actual VFR conditions outside, so they're going to be live weather flights, just to make the flight planning a bit easier. So we'll get into the flight planning now. So part 0 is going to be, the first video is just filling out this navlog that I've got on screen. So it looks pretty complex at the moment. It'll be a lot easier once we go through it. I'll just go into the blank version of it here. Basically on this first section, anything in yellow, you're going to fill in yourself. Everything else will end up being calculated, apart from your ATIS and your airport information, which you'll auto-populate. So we'll get straight into filling it in. So I know that for this first box, my departure airport is, if we go on SkyVector, EGHC, Land's End Airport, so we'll put that in here, EGHC, I'll populate that. And then for the first leg, so I'm going to fly around here is going to be 100 nautical miles. So I can see a big airport here, Exeter, which will have some nice information for flying to it. I'll set that as the departure, so that's EGTE. TE. There we go, SkyVector's just put in a straight line, and we can see here it's on a bearing of 066. It's 95 nautical miles, so that's perfect, around 100 nautical miles. Just quickly looking at this, we can see that we're not flying into any of the air zones for any of the airports en route, so that's also good. So the next thing we want to do is set up some waypoints. So like I say, in my VFR flying kind of series, my waypoints are normally about between 10 and 15. For a longer stretch like this, I'm going to stretch it to kind of between 10 nautical miles and 20 nautical miles, and maybe even further depending on what kind of waypoints you have on the map. If we go down here, I can see on this leg, I can see a nice little waypoint here. So this is going to be, I'm going to be looking for two kind of bodies of water on the left. And there's also a railway line and kind of what looks like it's a major road. I'll click on this, put this on the flight plan. And on here, the first thing is actually going to be my top of climb from my first waypoint. I'm going to put waypoint 1, this box, put 2 bodies water on the left. So that's the main visual waypoint we're looking for. Like I said, from when we first put it in, we know our course is going to be 66. So for all these, I can put 66 as our initial course heading. You can see it auto-populating some bits over here already. So we'll find a second waypoint. 10 nautical miles, that's perfect. We fly over here, we can see here we've kind of got a big body of water on the right, and we should fly over 2 populated areas. I'm going to put that as the next one. So that's going to be waypoint 2. And it's body of water on the right and populated area. Leave it as body of water on the right, but when I'm referencing back to this, I know that when I'm kind of with that on the right and the populator on the left, that's our waypoint. Here we can see a big built-up area, so I will put that as our next one, so waypoint 3. It's built-up area. We should fly slightly on the right, so I'll put that, but when we're looking at it, we know we're kind of flying almost over it. That's that. Then we've got what looks like it's going to be a nice waypoint here. It's a built-up area on the right and a body of water on the left. And I'll put that in. Point 4. Water left. Area, built up area, right. I'm fine, just checking the distances, we're all fine. Kind of a long barren area here. Let's see what distance it is to this area. It's going to be 27, so we kind of need something in the middle. So what I might use this bit here, so I should see a town on the right on the coast, and maybe able to spot this kind of railway junction here. I'll put this, so this is going to be waypoint 5, and I'll put coastal town on the right. And again, when I'm looking back at this, look and see if I can spot this railway junction. The other option here would be going on to Google Maps. Find out where you're flying to. We're going to be flying kind of on this area and just reference it back to the Sky Vector chart. And see, this looks like it's Plymouth. I know this from my geography, so it's the town down from Plymouth. Probably this Mildred here. There's a look, I'm just seeing if I can spot anything on the map, on the satellite view. Looks like there's a satellite farm, a solar panel farm here, so I'll probably be able to spot that a little bit better. I'll also put that I'm looking for this solar panel farm. Or I'll reference that in my mind that I'm looking for a solar panel farm for waypoint 5. Waypoint 6, we've already kind of set up here, is this town here, which directly up from Plymouth I can find the name of. There's Plymouth. Directly up it's going to be Tavistock. I'm going to put that, I'm just going to put up area. Most of it's on the left, so I'll change this to left. Waypoint 7, these look like there'll be a nice waypoint for this. And the two distinct looking bodies of water that are going to be on the right. Water on the right. Then it's going to be top of descent. And our departure airport, which is EGT. That's Exeter. I'll just go along here and make sure that these already have the formulas in. They do. Like I said earlier, I can put 066 as my route course because I'm just going to be basically flying that. I don't really need to deviate. There's no airspaces I need to avoid. Yep. And next we're going to fill in our altitude. So if I zoom back out on Sky Vector, I can see in our kind of quadrants, we've got recommended minimum safe altitudes. As I go down to 1, so it's 21,000 feet, 3,000 feet, 3,000 feet in here, 22,000 feet, 22,800. So kind of Sky Vector reckons 3,000 feet is our minimum safe altitude. Next thing I would have a look at is going to be our clouds. So if I go on to windy.com has it. I'm just going to select a point kind of in between, so it's here, Land's End is here. On clouds. There are some clouds about here, so I will have a look at this website, which is meta/TAF. So I'm going to put links to all these in the description. I'm just going to pick kind of a few of the weather stations and META reports. So there's Kildrose is reporting cloud layer at the base of 1,000, but not up to 3,000. If I go back again and zoom in, we've got Newquay Airport on the way, so that's reporting broken clouds down to about 3,500. And I don't want to go up to 3,500, so looking at this, I'm probably going to pick 3,000 as my altitude. And I know that up to 3,000 feet, I don't have to go up to the 500s if I'm flying VFR, so that's all good. There we go. And then actually for the first altitude here, the altitude for the top of descent, I'm going to put my pattern altitude for Exeter. I will go back onto Sky Vector and just click on Exeter here. Open up the airport information and I can see that it's got this runway. Elevation is 100. Pattern altitude is going to be 1,100 for that. So that's what I'll put as this altitude. 1,100. just going to also put this into the descent distance calculator over here. 1,100. There we go. It's going to be wind data, so we're just working kind of left to right. Usually I would use the Met Office Aviation Briefing Service. So this is a free service. You sign up for a Met Office, in the UK at least, you sign up for a Met Office account and you should get the briefing service, but it looks like it's not working at the moment. I'm just going to go onto this Windsor Loft website. Again, I'll put links to all these in the description. On the map, I've kind of selected an area in between. I'm just going to use one Windsor Loft chart for this. 3,000 feet, it's 243 degrees at 10 knots, so that's what I will use for this. 343 at 10. We'll go 343, 10 knots. And this, and I've just said that, but all these ones, 343. And I'll work out the temperature as well. It reckons at that altitude, the temperature is going to be 0 degrees. 0, and I'll use that for all of these and the last one. So there we go, and we'll take the 10 knots as well. And 0 degrees. Again, you can pay for services that give you a better wind data, but I normally just take kind of halfway for my cruise altitude between, because I don't think the wind's going to deviate. In another video, I'll show you how to use the Met Office Briefing Service, but like I said, at the moment, it's not working for that. For the first one, I'm actually going to take the local kind of weather. Again, I'll go on to metar/taff.com. I'm going to go down to the Land's End Airport, and it's going to select the nearest service, which is going to be this weather reporting station at RNAS Gold Rose. That's actually going to tell us that the wind is going to be 130 degrees at 8 knots. So 130, 8 knots. We can get our temperature as well. Be on here, 9 degrees overcast. 9 degrees. There we go, so that's the one for kind of our ascent, and we'll do the same for the descent. We'll get the information from Exeter. Just as a note, I can see that I'm probably going to be taking off from runway 34. Probably already also put that in. I'll put that in later. What we're looking for, Meta from Exeter is down here. Here we can see we've got 135 knots, 5 degrees. Put that in, 130, 5 knots, 5 degrees. Perfect. So again, working left to right, we're going to put in our true airspeed. Work this out. We're going to go onto the POH, or the Pilot Operating Handbook for the Cessna. We want to be on section 5, which for anybody following is page 121. And we're going to go down to our cruise performance, which is here. Is cruise performance. Just double check that there's not another one, that's fine. So it just takes it for a standard kind of weight. What we want to do is, first of all, we're going to have to work out our pressure altitude. See, our cruising altitude is 3,000, but depending on the pressure, that will change. Work this out. We open up a E6B, or we use a E6B flight computer. So this is a simulated version from the University of North Dakota. What we want to do to find this is we're going to find our temperature on the outside here. Sorry, no, we are going to find our density altitude, which is 3,000, and we're going to line this arrow up with that density altitude, 3,000 here. And we're going to find our temperature at that altitude, which we know from these Windsor Loft chart is 0 degrees. And we read 0 on this temperature chart and work out what altitude it's showing on the inner chart. See here, 0 degrees, 1, 2, 3, and a 3,750. I'll put that in. Do I have no? So I'll put it as no. Pressure out is 3,750. Now when we go back to Pilot Operating Handbook, we can see that pressure altitude is closest to 4,000. If it was exact 3,000, I would do some calculations to work out the in-betweens. It's close to 4,000, so I'm going to use 4,000. And I'll copy in this data, or 2,300 RPM. So that's our prop speed when we're at this altitude. That's what we're going to be aiming for. The standard temperature is 15 degrees. And we said that the 20 degrees below standard is minus 0.5. So we're going to be closer to that minus 0.5 than we are 15 degrees. So I'm going to use that information. So RPM is 2,300. We can see our brake horsepower is going to be 58%. So I'll put that as a note down here. So cruise performance. 2,300 RPM. 58% horsepower. 104 calculated true airspeed. And that is going to be 8.2 gallons per hour. So that's our cruising gallons per hour. 8.2 gallons per hour. But we now know that 104 can go into this box. Start calculating stuff for us. 104 all the way down here. I'm going to use this for the descent as well. It's already auto-populating kind of headings that we actually need to be flying due to winds and speed. I'm going to take this gallons per hour information and just put it in here, which is our kind of average cruise gallons per hour. There we go. So this will start working out how much fuel we need. We can put cruise altitude in here, which is 3,000. The true airspeed, which is 104. And then next is going to be working out our calculated airspeed. Work out our calculated airspeed. We go back onto the flight computer. And again, we are going to line up 0 with our pressure altitude. It is already lined up. We're going to take our cruising speed, which is 104, which is 101, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to read on the outside chart. Kind of closer to 109, so that's our calculated airspeed. 109. And then I can put our calculated indicated airspeed here, which is a conversion back on your POH. We go all the way back up to here. We don't want alternate static source. We want airspeed calibration. Normal static source would be flaps up, power required for level flight, or maximum power descent. That's fine. We go along and we know our calculated airspeed is 109? Closest to here, so we can see calculated 109. Basically add 3 to get our indicated. So 109 add 3 is 112, so that's going to be what our indicated airspeed is. Now we're going to work out our true airspeed for our climb. Again, back onto the pilot's operating handbook. Down to our time, fuel and distance to climb. We're going to go down. We said our pressure altitude is 4,000, so we want this line here. And we've got it here for our climb performance. Again, as we read across, we know indicated airspeed is 73. And that's in knots. Our rate of climb is going to be roughly 600. This is more for real life, but when we are in the simulator, I'm basically just going to set our rate of climb to aim for 74 knots. It might not be exactly 600, but that's fine. Time in minutes is going to be 6 minutes. So it takes 6 minutes to get to that altitude. Gallon fuel used is going to be 1.5 gallons. Gallons used. The distance it's going to take us is 8 nautical miles. Fine. We can start putting some of this in here. So we know the 1.5 gallons used in here. We'll put our distance as 8 nautical miles. And now we need to work out our true airspeed. So again, it's given us an indicated airspeed for this, so that's 73, so we need to convert that again. Go up here. we will convert on normal static source. So 73 as an indicated. We can see at 72, we basically don't change it. So our calculated airspeed is going to be the same. 73. And what we want to do is convert our calculated into a true airspeed. So again, we'll be on the E6 flight computer, E6B. This time we're going to take kind of an average halfway up the climb. So we can see temperature at the ground is 9. And it's going to be 1,500, which is halfway up. We'll take halfway between 0 and 9, so we'll call it 4. Again, back onto here. We want to put 4, which is roughly this line here, because this is 10, this is 5. Onto that 1,500. About there. And we have a calculated airspeed of 73, so calculated on the inside. 1, 2, 3. True airspeed is more 74. Put 74 into here. There we go. And then to work out our ground speed, we've gone to the backside, the wind side of the E6B. So just follow these instructions. So first thing I'm going to do is drag this center dot down to 100. There we go. The next instruction says mark wind velocity, set wind direction under the true index. I'm going to take this wind, so 130. 130 under the true index here. It's fine. I'm just going to say mark wind velocity up from the center point. So the wind velocity is 8 knots. Zoom in here, you can see these little lines are increments of 1. This is 5, 6, 7, 8. I'll put a dot on there. There we go. Be as precise as you can with this. Obviously, wasn't very there, but it's fine. Set true course under the true index. So our true course is 66 degrees. So I'll go back onto this. Scroll this round. So under true index, it says 66. And it's going to say set wind velocity mark to the true airspeed. Our true airspeed we've just said is 74. I want to drag this down until the dot hits 74. So that's 70. 71, 72, 73, 74. There you go. And then it says ground speed reads under center. Our ground speed is actually 70 knots. So I can put that into here. And it's worked out how long that will take. So we said 7 minutes, 6 minutes. So we can verify it's actually going to take a little bit less because this is worked out with no wind. Just note that on here. So it is time, fuel and distance. We got distance shown based on 0 wind. And we'll also note these bits. So it's saying to lean the mixture at 3,000 feet for maximum RPM. Increase time, fuel and distance by 10% for each 10% centigrade above standard. We're not above standard, so we don't need to worry about that. This first note, add 1.4 gallons of fuel for engine start, taxi and takeoff. Again, I can put that into our run up, which is, there we go. And I'll put it in here as well, using taxi. Wait, back onto the E6B. We've got our ground speed. We can just verify this is right. It says wind correction angle reads between center line and wind velocity mark. I can see if this is 10, it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So this is 2, 4, 5. You can see here it's worked out as 6, so it's between 5 and 6, so that's fine. This is working out fine. So next we're going to work out our true heading. So we need our variation, east or west. So normally you'd read this off a VFR flight chart, but in the UK I can't find anywhere where we can find that information for free or get the VFR flight charts for free. So I'm going to use this on a kind of historic magnetic declination chart. So again, I'll put this link in the description. See if we select on these, it's going to tell us which way our magnetic declination. So this is 1 degree west of north. This one will be 2 degrees west of north. This is kind of the closest line. I can put that over here, which is around where Exeter is. It's going to be 0, and to the left of London, it's going to be 1 degrees west. look, I know that 1 degree west I need to add, so for this one I'm going to put 1 to add 1 and 1 and 1, and for the rest I'm just going to put 0. Like I say, if you've been really precise and doing this in real life, which I'm not a real life pilot, you would get this information off the chart. There we go, so that's going to give us our magnetic heading. Next is the deviation, so this is different for all planes. You've normally got a sticker in the plane that tells you your deviation, and you would look at, so I'll find it here, so if I search for like simulator deviation sticker, to images, I normally go into this forum post or this image and just use this image here. And to work this out, you work out what heading you're flying, and then it'll tell you. So if you're flying 60, you don't correct. If you're flying 30 degrees, you would correct to 28. Now I'm flying 70. This is 90, so I'm going to go, anytime I'm flying close to 70, it's going to be 0 correction. Oh, that's fine. That can be a 0. Be a 0, that can be a 0. All the way down to 0, so I'm going to have no deviation. And this is the important column. This is what the course heading, so this is what you're actually going to be flying in the plane. Next, working left to right again, we're going to work out distances for legs. So we can see we've got 8 nautical miles to get to our top of our climb. Our first leg is 10 nautical miles, so we know that from the top of the climb to the first waypoint it's going to be 2 nautical miles. This leg is 9 nautical miles. That is 7, then 12. Go down and fill this in. 7, 12. 13, 14, 18. 13, 14, 15. And before we put these last 2 in, we need to work out how much of this leg is taken to descend. So earlier we put in our cruise altitude and our pattern altitude and our true airspeed. Now all we need to think is work out a descent rate, so I'm going to descend at 1,000 feet per minute. It will automatically tell us the distance it will take, so I've set this up so it automatically calculates it. You don't have to worry about any of the maths. You know, from the top of the descent to Exeter, it's going to be 4 nautical miles. That's 4 off of this 12. So from this waypoint to where we start descending, it's going to be 8. And there you go. So it's worked out our distance, worked out the time it's going to take. I've also set this up that if we put any of the time that we'll be flying, so let's say we're flying at 1400 Zulu, it'll work out our estimated time of arrival at these waypoints. So just delete that for now. Again, we'll go left to right. We're going to fill out our ATIS and our weather. We're going to put our departure airport into here, GHC. We're going to put our arrival, EGTE. Put the winds, so we know EGHC it's 130 at 8. EGTE it's 130 at 5. Ceiling and visibility, we'll go back to this website. Cloud ceiling is 4,000, visibility is 10 kilometers. So ceiling is 4,000, visibility is 10 kilometers. Select all this. There we go. And we'll have a look at the closest one to Land's End. And actually just grab the altimeter setting off this. So that's 10, 18. So we'll actually get that information off ATC when we go. But now we'll put it into 1018. We're actually doing Exeter here, so I'll just put these on the right one. Into there, copy that into there. And 138. We said we don't have to worry about the approach because we're not doing our approach. But looking at Exeter, we're probably going to be landing on runway 8. In here, runway 8. And should I have information for the runways on here? No, so I'll go back into Sky Vector. We'll just get the length of the runway. So runway 8 is 6811 degrees, and it's hard runway, which is fine. If it was a soft runway, I'd maybe note that there. So that's the runway we're going to expect to land on, runway 8, and that's the length we've got to land. We'll do the same for Land's End. Back here, zoom in, get a little local information. Here there's some cloud that's flown in, but we're at 3000, so we should be fine. So cloud ceiling is 900 to 1000, and what is our visibility? 10 kilometers plus again. Altimeter is going to be rough estimation, so the local one is 1016, so we'll put. No approach. And again, when we look at this, we can see the runway we're probably flying is taking off into the wind, so 16. I'll just find a runway length off the Wikipedia page for this. So lands and airport. Okay. And just get this information wherever it's available. We said runway 16. Yeah, it's an asphalt runway, and we've got 2572 feet. That's all fine. Next, we're going to get the airport information. So I've put EGHC and EGT8. That's our airport codes. Go on to this NATS page. We're going to go on charts, VFR charts, VFR chart resources, frequency reference charts, and we want to find the one that relates to us. So that is Southern England and Wales. And we'll just zoom in here to get the information that we need for our airports. So Land's End, EGHC, we can see 120.255 at tower. We've got no other frequencies. So tower, 120.255. No other frequencies for this bit. We know we can find the pattern altitude again from here. We can see the elevation is 400 feet, so pattern's going to be 1,400. And this one is 1,100. And we'll just go back to this chart and then find Exeter. Here we can see that they've got a radio on their approach at 128,980. So we'll put that into approach departure, 128,980. And what else have they got? Got a tower on 119,805. And they don't seem to have an ATIS, and they don't have a ground. At least it's not listed on here. These are up to date to December last year, so quite up to date. Yep. So that's the only information we've got for Exeter. So I'll just put a line in here. We'll check the land end information. All fine. Then I'm going to go onto this website and go onto the en route charts. And I want to have a look at which one is it on here? Lower airspace radar services. This shows which kind of bits we can tune into to get flight following. So we can see we've got Culdrose, Newquay, Plymouth Military West, and Exeter for our flight following. We'll note down that piece of information. So Culdrose is 134055. Flight following Culdrose, and we said that is 134055. Obviously, all this information is real life information. This might not relate to the sim, but again, do not use this for real life information. I'm not a real life pilot. Don't endorse any of that. Newquay 133405. In the sim, at least, I'm not sure how it works in real life, but they normally hand you off to the next flight following service once you've tuned the first one. It's always useful. Go back onto this. I'm looking Plymouth Military West, so Plymouth MW121255. Plymouth MW121255. And Exeter 128980. 128980. Which is also their departure kind of airport, so that is fine. Got all that. Unicom for the UK, I think is 122.8. 122.8. Local pressures, again, is that on this information? Onto the en route charts. There we go. Altimeter settings and flight information for regions. We can see we'd want the Scillies, the Wessex and the Portland. The areas, Scillies, Wessex and Portland. Again, this is information I'd get from the Met Office. Currently not working, so I can't grab this information. So we filled that section out. Next, we're going to go down to our fuel. So we've already put our run-up fuel in. That was what was on the POH. Our climb, we've said, is going to take 7 minutes. Cruise is this minus this, so I've already got that set in as a formula. For our approach, it's already worked out our cruise fuel as well, because it's just added all of these up. So again, I've got that all set up. Approach would be roughly estimate about 10 minutes. You're not always going to get a straight fly-in, so we want some extra fuel just in case we get put in holding patterns. Again, this is just a calculation, and it is our gallons per hour average divided by 6, which is 10 minutes. That's put into there. Reserves, we always want 30 minutes of reserves, that's standard. So again, that is gallons per hour halved. Extra, always good to put some extra fuel in. Sometimes you have unusable fuel, so that's also what you put in your extra for your weight purposes. I'm going to say, I'll take a third extra, so I'll put another 5 gallons in extra. We can work out our endurance, so 20.3. We go back to our flight computer, back onto the slide rule side. Where's it gone? So for our endurance, we're going to take our gallons per hour on average. So we said it was 8.2. There we go. We're going to work out our total fuel, so 20.3. Read that off. It's 20.3, so 20.2 is there, 0.3, and we read in here, so we've got about 2 hours 30 endurance. So that's if we were going to use all of this fuel, fly for 2 hours 30 before the plane falls out of the sky. We know that we're actually flying 58 minutes, so we're going to have an hour and a half extra, so that is all good. So last thing to put is work out our weight and balance. So for this, we go into the pilot operated handbook and we go down to section 6, weight and balance. You want to go down to its loading arrangements here. First, we're going to put all our weights in. So we'll say just me flying today, and I'll say I'm 180 pounds. 180 in there. I've got nobody in the second row, and I'm taking 10 pounds of baggage. Already got it working out your fuel weight, so this is converting your fuel gallons into pounds. So that's again all calculations already set up. And we put on our lever arms. So this is from the basic information of the Cessna. So that's from your pilot operated handbook. Next, we see that our lever arm for our pilot or our front row pilot and passenger is 37. We'll put that in here, 37. We can put it in for the rear passenger at 73 inches, but again, that won't calculate anything because we've got no weight there. Our fuel is stated here. The usable fuel centre of gravity arm for integral tanks is located at station 48. And again, baggage on here, 2 baggage areas. I'll say that I'm strapping it down directly in the middle is 108. If you've got loads of baggage at the very back, you change these depending on kind of where the baggage is. I will put 108 for this. There you go, so it's worked out our total moments, which is this times this, already in our calculation. Worked out our lever, which is this divided by this, which is our total weight. That's fine, we're at 139.9, so that's where we'd set our centre of gravity. Just look around the chart, check there's nothing else that I've missed out. This is all fine, all of this is filled in. This is what the heading we'll be flying is. you're never going to realistically take off straight to our heading that we're going to be flying. So there's going to be a little bit of adjustment from our top of climb to our waypoint 1. As long as we go over the waypoint 1 at the correct kind of roughly the correct area, we know that the rest of this chart is fine. We'll fill these in when we know them. So we'll put our times that we get to the aircraft once our pre-flight's done, once our block out time. So once we put all our fuel in, when we've opened the flight plan, when we've lifted off, once we've blocked in the fuel, and once we've closed the flight plan. Our time off here, and like I say, once we put our time off, it'll automatically roughly work out our estimated time of arrival for these. Underneath, we can fill in our actual, for all of these, our actual ground speed, our actual time it took to complete this leg, and our actual time at the waypoint. So yeah, there you go. There's a completed flight plan. Like I say, I'll put all these kind of links in the description that I've used today. A few of the links here that I maybe haven't used, like this flight planning map. This is to get NOTAMs for our flight. So we can see here there's a couple of NOTAMs. There's an unmanned flight taking place here. So these are things in real life we'd have to be aware of. They're not currently programmed into the simulator, so we don't have to worry about them. So next video is going to be on flying this first leg. So that will be up probably tomorrow. I'll fly it straight away, so all this is relevant. And then from then on, each video, this is already going to be filled in. I'm going to fill this in kind of behind the scenes. I'll show you a brief rundown of it and a brief rundown of the flight path we're taking. And we'll see how many legs it takes and how successful we are from getting from Land's End to John O'Groats. I'll see you in that next video.